Thanks very much, Rob. Conference, as you know, on Thursday, the Prime Minister called an emergency cabinet meeting in Downing Street. We approved action in response to an urgent request by the Iraqi government. On Friday, Parliament was recalled to sanction that military action. In these uncertain times, I know that you will want to join with me and the whole country in sending our thoughts and prayers to the brave men and women in our armed forces. But I know that you will also want to send your thoughts and prayers to the British hostages caught up in the shadow of horror that seeks to spread itself right to the shores of the Mediterranean. Cross-party support makes it absolutely clear. Britain will never stand on the sidelines and witness the spread of this murderous evil which threatens us both at home and abroad. I believe we have the finest armed forces in the world, and we want them to know they have our support, not just from this conference hall or from this great city, but from right across the United Kingdom. Conference, this year, we're going to do things a little differently. You won't just be hearing from the Cabinet, you'll also be hearing from our candidates too. Shortly, I'll be introducing you to our hard-working candidate for Birmingham Northfield, Rachel McLean. But first, I want to address the events of the last 24 hours. Conference, we have been betrayed. Every Conservative in this hall and everyone you represent, we all know individual MPs don't succeed on their own. They do so by standing They don't do it on their own, they do so by standing on the shoulders of others. Those are your shoulders. People who volunteered for Mr. Reckless, they supported him as a Conservative. People who pounded the streets, they supported him as a Conservative. People who donated money from their own pockets, who worked tirelessly for him, they supported him as a Conservative. They did so. I believe they did so in good faith. You believed this individual represented a set of ideals, deeply held principles, a manifesto. You lent him your support on trust and because you believed that he carried our party banner. Today, your trust has been abused. You have been cheated. But worse, the people of Rochester and Stroud have been cast aside. They voted for a strong Prime Minister who would not duck the difficult decisions on our economy, holding our union together, or on English votes for English laws. They voted to cap welfare, to create jobs, to curb immigration. They voted for a strong Conservative team who would give them a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for that in-out referendum on Europe. As your party chairman, I share your deep sense of betrayal and anger. We have been let down by somebody who has repeatedly lied to his constituents and to you, who said one thing and then did another. Last month, he looked us in the eye and he said, only our Prime Minister could secure a say for the British people on Europe. Last week, he insisted he would be campaigning for an outright Conservative majority. 2 days ago, He was busy leaving phone messages, claiming that he was enthusiastic about joining us to campaign for Rachel McLean here in Birmingham today. He lied and lied and lied again. Here is the truth. Here is the truth. There is only one party with a plan to fix our economy, to deal with our deficit, and to cut taxes. There is only one leader with the clout to stand up for Britain on the world stage. There is only one way to get that in-out referendum, so let this be a rallying cry. My friends, we are going to campaign hard in Rochester and Shrewd, because the people there deserve an MP who will keep his word, because our country needs us now, more than ever. So let's resolve today. We will not waver. We will not be blown off course. We will finish the job we have started, and next year we will meet as a majority Conservative government. Now, as promised, let me introduce you to a loyal Conservative prospective MP for Birmingham Northfield, Rachel McLean.
Welcome to Birmingham. Welcome to my hometown and the great city where I've lived all my life, brought up my family, and for the last 20 years I've been running a small business. There are so many great things about our city that I love, but for me, most of all, it's the fantastic people of Birmingham that I live and work with, who make it the place that it is. We invent things, we make things, we start businesses, we work hard and we're resilient, and we have a brilliant sense of humour. And we make the best curries. Thank you. But most of all, we give back to our communities, and we are so proud of the place we live. And it's because of that pride and the people here that I was so thrilled to be selected to be the next prospective Member of Parliament for the Conservatives for Birmingham Northfield. 18 months ago, I pledged to dedicate myself to the fight to represent the people of Northfield, to help win for them the majority Conservative government that they need and deserve now more than ever. And already, we've cut taxes for 40,000 people in Northfield, helping hard-working taxpayers to provide better for their families. Together we can finish the job of healing our economy, giving every child growing up in Birmingham the first-class education that they deserve so that they can get a foot on the career ladder, and to help small businesses like mine hire more local people. And to the many and the overwhelming number of people, Conservative Party members, Team 2015 people, who will be joining me this afternoon out on the streets of Northfield campaigning. I'm really looking forward to meeting you soon. Thank you all for coming here. Thank you so much for playing your part. I really appreciate it. You're helping us to secure a better future for the city that I love so much. Thank you. Thank you, Grant. Sorry.
Thank you, Rachel. This year, I really want you to get to know our candidates, our next generation of Conservative MPs. Over a third women, more than ever before. 24 selected through open primaries, from all walks of life. Nurses, small business owners, postmen, charity workers, doctors, farmers, teachers, mums and dads, engineers, you name it, we've got it. So please, let's hear it for our candidates. Now, do you remember when Labour used to claim they were the One Nation party? Not a word of it last week. But here's something people should know about Conservatives and our motives. From Disraeli to David Cameron, we are driven by doing what is right for our nation. Let me give you a recent example. There are 59 MPs in Scotland. Now, unfortunately, we have just one. So it wasn't in our narrow self-interest to keep Scotland in the Union, yet despite this, we fought for it. We fought for it with all of our heart and all of our soul, because we believe in keeping our nation together. We should feel proud and we should hold our heads high because our generation, we didn't give up, we didn't give in. Both sides of the border, our party, the Conservative and Unionist Party, said to those doubters who sought to divide us, no, this is our Britain. So we're going to keep our British pound, our British passports, our British armed forces. We're going to keep our shared history, our shared economy, and yes, our shared British values. And now, we want to send a message from this hall. Thank you, Scotland. Thank you for staying with us. Now, we made a commitment to the Scottish people, and we will keep our vow. Not just the right to spend taxpayers' money, but the responsibility to raise it too. At the same time, we'll also keep our commitment to England and the rest of the UK. So we'll bring forward common sense solutions for English people. That means English votes for English laws. Now, last week, Ed Miliband attacked this as politics. Well, he's right. It is politics. It's the politics of fairness for 53 million people in England. So I say this to Ed Miliband. Now the whole country knows. They know when you duck and dive, dither and delay, dodge the question 20 times. Your inability to put our country before your party means you will never be fit to hold the office of Prime Minister of this United Kingdom. You know, it's a pleasure to be back here in Birmingham. It's home to the most popular symphony orchestra who play in this very hall. This is the birthplace of gaslighting, the X-ray, the first English translation of the Bible, a place with more canals than Venice, and yes, famously, the Balti Triangle. Now, our conference has a long-term relationship with the city, and I'm proud to be able to announce today we will be coming back here in 2016, 2018, and 2020. Now, of course, we couldn't make that kind of long-term commitment if we were flat broke. So I want you to join me in thanking the man who's made it all possible. Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Feldman. Andrew, you've actually made our party debt-free for the first time that anybody can remember. But there's another reason why we can make this commitment to Birmingham, and it's because we're renewing our party for the digital age. Last year, I introduced you to Emma Lane. You might recall Emma was the 3,000th member of our growing volunteer network called Team 2015. These are our new foot soldiers, working alongside members to deliver our message on the ground. Today, we haven't just doubled that workforce, we haven't even tripled it. A year later, Team 2015 is no longer 3,000 volunteers, it's 25,000 volunteers strong. And I should say, if you haven't joined them already, then please come to our stand in the market hall, or if you're watching on TV, come to conservatives.com and please join us. Conference, we have a mission, securing a better future, and people are flocking to our banner. Party membership, up. Members here at conference, up. Actually, there are more members at conference than any time on record. And whilst 2 years ago, nobody was going to conservatives.com to donate to the party, today we are raising hundreds of thousands of pounds in small individual donations of perhaps £5, £10 and £20. These are made by ordinary people who care passionately about our country's future, and they want a stake in it. But here's something even more dramatic. People really want to know about our plan for Britain. So they've been signing themselves up to here. Conference, we now have 1,008,620 supporters who've signed themselves up to receive our message, over 1 million people. So that means our emails now reach a city the size of Birmingham every single week. And to the millions who follow us, tweet, follow our message and view on social media, and there are now more people actively engaged in our grassroots network than at any time since the famous Primrose League network in the 19th century. But these aren't just numbers on a database somewhere. These are people, real people, spreading our message to their friends, donating their own cash to the cause, and taking our campaign to every corner of our country. And if you don't believe me, in just 1 hour's time, please check your Twitter and Facebook for Road Trip 2015, where you'll see our brilliant candidate, Rachel McLean, with hundreds of Team 2015 volunteers right here on the streets of Birmingham. Now, last week, at the Labour conference, Ed Miliband spoke for over an hour. Intriguing as it was to hear about the women he meets in local parks, I think you will have noticed he quite literally had nothing to say about the British economy. Nothing on the record deficit that he saddled us with, nothing on Labour's Great Recession, the worst in 100 years. He spoke of the NHS, but with no apology for the people who died just 25 miles from here in the mid-Staffordshire hospital scandal. And with no apology to those who, even today, crossed the Welsh border to escape Labour's starvation of the NHS in Wales. But most importantly of all, he made no reference to the fact that we cannot secure the future of our NHS unless we secure the future of our economy. So let's tell people who are thinking of voting Labour about the real risk of Ed Miliband in Downing Street. Risk one, your job. Never forget that every Labour government in history has left unemployment higher. Risk two, your living standards. Ed Miliband wants to tax your job, he wants to tax your pension, and now he wants to tax your family home too. And risk three, your economy. Labour have no plan to pay down the deficit. He didn't bother to mention it in his speech. And no plan to tackle the deficit means your mortgage is immediately at risk. And you know what? What sort of message? What kind of message would it send to the rest of the world if we, having struggled through the pain of Labour's Great Recession, if we, the British people, who have worked hard, sacrificed and battled our way back towards prosperity, if we voted back in the very same people who crashed our economy in the first place? Now, some say about Labour, well, they were useless, but their hearts were in the right place. Conference, I disagree. If your business was crushed by Labour taxes, if you lost your job in Labour's Great Recession, if your mum and dad were in Mythstab's patient and they were left to die without water, then you would disagree too. So here are 2 words for Labour: never again. Labour's conference. Now, you'd be forgiven for thinking it was pretty forgettable stuff. Actually, come to think of it, even Ed Miliband struggled to remember it. But I've actually got a confession to make. There is one Labour policy I wholeheartedly and enthusiastically support: keeping Ed Balls in his job until the next election. Ed Balls, the man who can hardly drive a car without crashing, let alone the economy, quite literally the hit-and-run shadow chancellor. It's all a reminder that when you look under Labour's bonnet, it's the same old boom and bust, tax and spend, gold-flogging Labour Party that crashed our economy in the first place. So yes, the risks of Labour. But we must also tell people about our positive Conservative vision. Deficit down, jobs up. Welfare capped, pensions rising. Crime down, new businesses opening. Our beating heart that says we won't turn a blind eye to pensioners on fixed incomes. We're not prepared to ignore sink schools failing our children. We know it's unacceptable to leave millions trapped on welfare. Our hearts are bigger than that, because we understand it's not enough to dream of prosperity, we have to deliver it too. That's why our economic plan is compassionate, because it is giving us the means to pay for what matters most: education for our children, care for the sick, dignity for our elderly. When Ed Miliband suggests we can fix every problem by simply slicing up the economic cake differently, Margaret Thatcher would have responded, "We have to bake a bigger cake in the first place." Now, colleagues, these facts won't speak for themselves. That's our job. And that's where our team comes in. I believe this is one of the strongest teams we've ever fielded in government. Michael Gove, for example. But actually, I've checked his old file at CCHQ. It says this: "A young man, Michael, has applied for a job in our research department. Although quite promising, he's been turned down on the grounds that he is, quote, insufficiently political and insufficiently conservative." Now, I know that Conservative HQ doesn't always get everything right. But Michael Gove, insufficiently conservative? Let me tell you, when we're fighting the next election, there is no one I would rather have with us in the trenches than our new Chief Whip, Michael Gove. Actually, there's someone else in our team we should feel proud of. Someone who's been a favourite of this conference ever since he first addressed it in 1977. A Foreign and Commonwealth Secretary who restored the reputation of that great office. He may be retiring, but he'll always be with us, and we can't wait to hear from him later, William Hague. But if you're like me, if you're like the millions of people beyond this hall who want to secure this recovery, then it's good to know we've got a Chancellor who's helped ensure we have the fastest growing economy in the developed world, George Osborne. And soon, we hope, zip-wiring his way back to Parliament, the one and only Boris Johnson. Finally, and most of all, we have someone leading the way on the world stage, a true global statesman in these insecure times. determined to put the British people first. A man with the energy, with the vision, the leadership our country needs, who time and again has confronted, not ducked, the big, difficult decisions, who took on and settled the Scottish independence debate for a lifetime, keeping our family of nations together, delivering on our long-term plan, securing Britain's future. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our Prime Minister, David Cameron. So from today, even as we leave this hall to campaign for Rachel McLean in a few minutes' time, remember that we're not just fighting for her. We're not just fighting for one constituency in the middle of England. No, we're fighting for the heart and soul of Great Britain. We're fighting for a majority Conservative government because that is what our country needs. We're fighting for full employment, for home ownership, for rising living standards. We're fighting for a Britain that you can feel proud of. So if you agree with me, then let's work together, let's stand together, and together, let's finish the job. Thank you very much.